Okay, so now we finally get to search this office. What don't we think, Gumshoe? Chief Gant. Might be a suspect, do you? What? Yeah, Mr. Wright, what do we think of him? Chief Gant. So it's finally come to this. What do I think of him? Perhaps it's best I don't divulge my feelings. Yet. There he goes, ignoring me again. Alright, Gumshoe, let's look around. This was Lana's desk. It sure is tidy. Lana's always been a meticulous cleaner. There's not even any dust on it. Looks like someone's still keeping it clean. Does Lana ever come back here? No. Chief Gant must still keep it clean in memory of their partnership. They were the stuff legends are made of. Does he keep it in memory of her, or in memory of the crime? It's a good question. What's this? These shelves are mostly empty. Lana must have cleaned them out when she transferred over to the prosecutor's office. There's a small picture frame on the left shelf. Hey! This is when Lana and I went to that theme park. Okay. Nope. I wanted to look at the window. Look at that giant window. Makes you want to crash through it and jump outside. This is the 15th floor. I know, I'm just saying. Saying what? Ever since making Detective, I've always dreamed about doing something like that. Note to self, Detective Gumshoe has a lot of dreams. So long as he doesn't go crashing through that window when he gets fired. Don't say that! Can I look under the desk? No. Okay. Is this still going to be the desk? No. I mean, well, yeah, it is. I was trying to examine the thing on the desk. Let's look at the photo again. This was taken on that day 2 years ago. The day Joe Darkey ran out of the questioning room and tried to kill Emma. After receiving his award trophy, Mr. Marshall took a picture here, then went along with Chief Gant to question Darkey. Bet he never knew he'd be dead just a few hours later. Gee, you think? Let's look over here. Wow, look at the size of Chief Gant's desk! Speaking of that, when we were here earlier... Oh, it's you two. Chief Gant. He put that paper he was reading in his desk. I wonder what he was reading. This looks like a list of evidence used in a case. List of evidence? In most cases, the list runs twice as long as this. Hey, look at the case name! Huh? SL9 incident? I wonder what this is doing here. Hold on, Detective. What did you just say? I said, I wonder what... No, about evidence lists. Normally they're twice as long? That's right. I guess there wasn't a lot of evidence. A half-size list of evidence. That list of evidence, it seems too short. Most lists run twice as long. What would the other half of the list be doing here? I knew it! The Chief must be hiding something about that case! It would appear so. So now we have the evidence list. Let's take a look at it. Hang on. Speaking of a whole bunch of evidence... What's this? What the hell? I wonder what this is. Looks like someone drew some kind of sketch here. What is it? Did you find something? I can't make it out. I'd better keep quiet about it for now. Huh? Oh, no, it's nothing. Why are your eyes moving about like that, Mr. Wright? I'd better not forget about this picture. Okay, so there's a weird picture on the back of that evidence list. Kinda looks like what Emma described in her memory. Which, do we have a picture of that? No. Anyway. Back to the examination. What's this? This is a safe, isn't it? Safe. That word is ripe with intrigue. Okay, if you say so. Looks like a code needs to be entered in this panel to open it. A 7-digit number. I think I just might know what it is. Do you know what it is? I have a hunch. Oh, I know. You want to try my birth date? It's... I have a better idea. Here goes nothing. We're gonna try... 7777777. The same number that's on that sheet that went into the evidence room 40 minutes before the whole fake Goodman thing. What number did you enter? Whose birthday was that, pal? 7777777. The final ID card number on that record. What? The number of the mysterious executive officer who entered the room that day. You mean 777777? That ID number? I think you're 17 shy this time. This can only mean one thing. That's Chief Gant's ID number. Say, anyone care to look inside? Now what are we gonna find? Is there any money in there? How much does he have stashed away? Really, Gumshoe? Look! It's a shard from a broken cup. This somehow looks familiar. Where have I seen this before? Come on, Nick, you know this. There's something else in here, too. What's this? It looks like a piece of leather cloth. With a handprint on it. This is a handprint, isn't it? Hey, I saw someone wearing a shirt like that once. You think the chief made up the design? No, I don't think so, Gumshoe. I don't think so. Oh, well, it was just a thought. Is that it? This is all that was in the safe? Apparently so. It's empty now. A piece of cloth with a handprint on it, and a broken shard from a cup. Why would he just grab that one piece? They look like pieces of evidence, but unless you can prove they have something to do with this case, I'm afraid I can't just let you take them. After all, it's my neck on the line here. Great. Now I have to prove their relevancy to get them. How are these two items related to the SL9 incident? Come on, there's got to be something we could show the detective. Okay. Well, hang on. Well, no. We'll go back to that in a second. Present. Step 1, or evidence 1. This. Detective Gumshoe, could you have another look at this jar? All of us put that back together. Oh, those were the days. It's kind of early to be nostalgic. Wasn't this jar a piece of evidence from that case? That's right. One of the shards had an SL9 incident sticker on it. Doesn't this ring any bells? You know, that fragment we just found? You mean this one? That was in the safe? Yes, that one. That was in the safe. Wow, we finally got it. Now that you mention it, it's ringing a lot of bells. Let's see if it fits. Here, let me see that shard. I'll take a crack at this. Go ahead, pal. Show us what a rookie can do. Mr. Wright, here's some glue. If I can piece this together again, it'll prove Chief Gant was knowingly hiding evidence. Here goes. Oh, now it's slowing down again. Okay, honestly, I may be doing this a bit too soon. I don't know if we have to find another piece before we can do this. But then again, maybe not. Because you can see here, the outline matches this, so... Jackpot! And it'll speed up in just a sec. There! It fits like a charm. That, of course, means Chief Gant willingly and knowingly hid a piece of this jar in his safe. In other words, he concealed a piece of evidence from the SL9 incident. But, hey guys, get a load of this! What is it? This piece you just attached. It's different from the others. What? There's a reddish line on it. A reddish line? That's blood. I don't get it. Why would Chief Gant hide this in his safe? We're not really sure. But we do know we have the jar completely together. And now we need the handprint. So let's look at... Can't believe Officer Marshall would do something like that. You know Officer Marshall? Of course I do. He was like a mentor to me. When I first started out, he even gave me a small cactus. Really? He said, Dick should listen to all your troubles. Excuse me, note to self, Detective Gumshoe talks to a cactus. Hard to believe he's just a patrolman now. Someone ought to trade places with him. What? Why are you looking at me like that? Okay, so it wasn't that. The glove, maybe? If I'm fired, I won't be able to give you any information. So that's why I have to get it all out of my system now. You understand, don't you? Don't be so negative, Detective. We do want you to share your information, though. Oh, who am I fooling? I've never had anything useful to share to begin with. Ugh. Got to stay positive. Hang on. No. So we got the jar shard, but we don't have the other thing. This is safe, isn't it? Yeah, okay, if you say so. Okay, so... What's this? No, that's his desk again. Mr. Edgeworth's at the other half of that list. What would this list be doing here? We better look a little more into this. Alright, we know there's that weird drawing on the back of it. I want to look at this statue. This is the real deal, isn't it? This armor and these weapons? Sure is, pal. The chief doesn't care for imitations. First the pipe organ, now this armor. Do you know how many taxpayer dollars must have gone into this room? What? You mean we're paying for this? That's it. I'm not paying 1 cent to my taxes. That's not a good idea, Emma. You don't have any taxes to pay. Yet. Shh. Be careful what you say. Who knows? The chief may be hiding in this armor as we speak. I don't think he'd fit in there. Even if he did, he'd never be able to get back out. Cut it out. You guys don't know how scary that guy can be. Alright, let's look at the organ. The chief's organ sure is a sight to behold. Occasionally, we hear him playing it in the Criminal Affairs Department. Playing it from the Criminal Affairs Department. That's on the 2nd floor, and this is the 15th. When a detective screws up, the chief calls him to his office and makes him listen to the organ for hours. What's so bad about that? Music soothes the soul. After that, the detective can't hear anything for days except the ringing in his ears. Poor bastard. So it's an instrument of punishment. Literally. But aren't the chief's ears affected? He never listens to anyone he never listens to anyone anyway. That's besides the point. Well, that's the armor. Alright, hang on. We gotta get that other cloth from Gumshoe. I don't know what the... Try presenting this to him. That's what the chief was reading before, isn't it? You know when we first came in here? Yeah, and it looks like the right side of the form's been torn off. So Mr. Edgeworth's list is really the only half of the whole list, the whole thing. Really was only half of the real thing, as I can't talk right now. Something else is bugging me more than that. Take a look at the back of that form, pal. The back? I did. It's got a drawing on it. See? Whee! Yeah, and then he says nothing about it. Okay. He gave us the autopsy report. Team picture. Wait, hold on. Where's the... I want to check this. Hey, look here. It's hard to make out, but there's a dark red stain here. Looks like blood. This piece the chief has is different, though. The bloodstains on the other pieces are just spots. But this one's a line. That is odd. I really don't think we're done here. You can see pretty far from 15 stories up. If you were to drop that suit of armor down from here... At first the chief wanted to use stained glass for this window. Really? Why didn't he? They say he changed his mind because he wouldn't be able to see the view. Oh. Stained glass or not, it's a huge window. Alright, we looked at the safe. We looked at the desk. Looked at the painting. We looked at Lana's desk. There's nothing on the floor. Alright. I guess we're done here. Let's head back to Edgeworth. Wright, please. I'm the prosecutor on this case. You don't expect me to sit here and discuss the case with you over a cup of tea. I'll pass on the tea. Just tell me about the case. Mr. Wright, Mr. Edgeworth just told you no in a very stylish manner. Whose side are you on, anyway? Maybe if I just show him my best evidence, I can get some reaction out of him. Well, he's got nothing else to say to me. And whoops. Maybe I show it to her. Attorneys and prosecutors have no business showing evidence outside of court. It's taboo, especially when the interests of both parties are involved. She really means it. Anna. Alright then. Same thing. Nope. Okay, there's nothing more there. Let's go back to the chief's office then. Gotta be something else here. Wait. If I'm fired, I won't be able to give you any information. So that's why I have to get... Yeah. I feel a lot better now that this jar's complete. But it only raises another question. What was a piece of it doing in the chief's safe? More importantly, why wasn't there any money in there? Really, Gumshoe? Isn't that what safes are for anyway? Sometimes. Safes are really for protecting valuables. Doesn't mean you have to have actual cash in there. I have a feeling the outcome of tomorrow's trial just might hinge on this. Now I'm really stumped. It's not like we can read this damn thing. I mean, it's in Japanese. Well, yeah, it is. Wait. I doubt this is right, but you never know. Plus, it's fun to click and... Wait a minute. Oh, I had to click it. Whoa, this must have been covered in blood. Is this from that incident? It must be. When Prosecutor Neil Marshall was murdered. 2 years had passed, so the reaction's kind of dull. So a murder really did take place here. Don't think we're gonna get a reaction anywhere else. Of course, it lets us spray, but doesn't let us check for prints. Yeah, we talked about this already. Okay. Alright, let's... Okay. I really don't think there's anything else we can do there. But there's gotta be something I missed. Let's go back into the parking lot. I want to show that evidence list to Miss Starr. I don't have anything else to tell you. Miss Starr, the only thing I can give you now is a poppy seed rice set. Talk about cheap. Eat this and maybe you'll be able to tell black from white in court tomorrow. Alright, that had nothing. And we know Edgeworth won't show us anything. Or maybe he will. He didn't like the evidence list for whatever reason. But what about the jar? Nope. Alright then, I'm missing something in the chief's office. Let's go back. Police department entrance. I mean, honestly, we could also go to the detention center and gone from there, but whatever. Criminal affairs. This guy doesn't say anything, does he? That must be the head detective. He's staring at the screen so hard it might shatter. What? What? Darky case may have been fabricated? That's what I thought all along. I just never bothered to tell anyone. Now there's a guy who cares about his work. Okay. That was amusing. Back to the office we go. Excuse me. We'd better look a little more into this. Now we know there's a bloodstain there because that's where the murder took place. Hang on. Sorry about that. I was getting a Skype message. I had to take care of it so it didn't start making noise. Anyway, so here we are. We're in the chief's office. We have to figure out... We got the... Well, we found a jar fragment and a cloth in Gan's safe, but Gumshoe won't let us take them unless we can prove their relevancy. We did so with the jar, but I'm still trying to figure out what will get him to give me the cloth. I mean, it's got a handprint on it, so we'd want to check it for fingerprints, right? Trying all this stuff. Wait, fingerprints, I wonder. Not check! Detective Gumshoe, I'd like you to have a look at this. Hey, I know what that is! So, you want to take some fingerprints? That's a great idea, Detective! Alright, go to town, sheesh. What are you doing? Why are you sticking out your hand like that? Go ahead, take my fingerprints. It's not your fingerprints we want to take. Huh? Come on, this isn't the time for jokes. We're talking about that cloth we found in the safe. Oh, I knew that. The one with the handprint on it, right? Sheesh, where's your sense of humor? Well, seems like we figured out what to do. That's good. I was running around like an idiot. Alrighty, looks like the middle finger would give us the best print. Sprinkle the powder on the cloth, and once it's been absorbed into the prints, blow the rest away. What are you, my mom? I don't have to be told a million times. Alright, let's get this over with. Alright, we'll try this. Alrighty, now we'll just keep clicking. I think that's good, but I always like to try and cover the screen with it, just because it's fun. Alright. And we got a print! Now we gotta find a match. Let's see. Let's compare... Let's see what we got. No, that's not right. It's not Meekins. It's not Jake. Or Bruce Goodman. It's not Gumshoes. It's not Lana's, although that kind of looks close, but no. Wait a minute. Why the hell are Emma's prints on this? No. How can this be? That's what I want to know. What are Emma's fingerprints doing here? Hey, you found a match? Whose fingerprints were they? Huh? Oh, seems their prints are too old. They aren't clear enough to get a match. Oh, that's too bad. I thought they'd be Darky's prints. Psst! Hey you, over here. Why are we whispering? What's going on here? What are that kid's prints doing inside the chief's safe? That's what we want to know. Don't ask me. Let's just keep this information from Emma for now. Here, maybe you should hold on to this. Quick, lock the safe. Make sure you close the safe back so it doesn't look like we've been here. Well, was I any help? Of course! Thanks to your ID card, we were able to get some hard evidence. Now, that's not very kind, is it? In other words, if it wasn't for his ID card, he would have been useless. Isn't that right, you in the coat? This is bad. To Chief Gant! We didn't think he'd be back so soon. Fortunately, I'm a man who believes in signs. As I was walking to my meeting, I happened to look out a window and saw a stray dog run right into a pole. What? Poor dog. Though that is kind of funny. Just then, I thought of a certain detective. Okay, that's even more funny. Do you mean me, sir? No, then. I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you all to leave. Yes, sir. Sorry. Oh, you in the coat. Me, sir? Drop off your ID card on the way out. You won't be needing it anymore. But, sir... Now get out! Yes, sir! Oh man, he just fired Gumshoe. We'll be on our way too then. Wait, you, the one without the spiky hair. Don't go yet. What's he want with Emma? I'd like a word with you. But sir, I'm not a licensed scientific investigator yet. You with the spiky hair, you're free to go. Mr. Wright! It'll be alright, Emma. Look, pal, I've told you once, if I've told you once, I've told you 1,000 times. The chief's office is off limits. But no, you just had to go sticky in there like that, didn't you? I thought you said you didn't care anymore if you were fired. Yeah, but if I knew it'd be like this, I never would have said it. Now that I've seen the evidence Chief Gant was hiding in his office, I think I'm finally starting to get the picture. It's hard to believe anyone could keep quiet about it all this time. Anyway, you listening to me? I'm gonna try to smooth things over with the Chief again. Later, pal. Good luck. After that, I heard from Emma. She said the police wanted to ask her some questions, so she'll be busy for the rest of the day. Lana. I see. So the chief asked Emma to come in for questioning. It's no use thinking about it. Tomorrow's the final day in court. I'm committed to doing everything I can to defend you, which is why I'm here. But I've already told you all I can. What you've told me over these past couple days is absolutely nothing. Not a single useful thing. Really? I believe I did mention something quite important. Something I told you right at the beginning. I said I was the one who stabbed Detective Goodman. You know, I think I finally figured it out. Who it is you're hiding behind those words. Mia did a good job mentoring you. I'm rather jealous. It seems Edgeworth was right. Edgeworth? Once you're convinced you know something, no one can persuade you otherwise. Thick-headed is the term he used, I believe. Now's my chance to get her to tell me the rest of the story. Now. Alright, we'll try this. I have to admit, I was more than a little perplexed at first. You insisted you did it, yet there was no incriminating evidence. That's when it hit me. It's not you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's not that you're unwilling to tell the truth. It's that you're incapable of doing so, because of a certain individual. What an intriguing notion. A certain individual, you say. So you think I'm protecting this person? Protecting? No, I think afraid of is more like it. If I'm not mistaken, the person in question may have persuaded you to silence. For argument's sake, Mr. Wright, whom may I ask is the person you're speaking of? The one I am supposedly so frightened of. What is this person's name? Well, that's quite easy. You're afraid of Mike Meekins. His mighty megaphone knows no justice. I mean, no bounds. He's unafraid of evil. Actually, no. The correct answer is Maximilian Pegasus. I mean, Damon Gant, not Pegasus. Well, Miss Guy? Mr. Wright, you are addressing the chief prosecutor. Do not forget your place. I take it she's still not ready to spill the beans. My apologies. Could you please tell me a bit more about the circumstances? We were partners until 2 years ago. I respected him as a detective. Assuming he is respectable, then tell me something. Why would he try to hide his crimes? His crimes? Both you and Edgeworth will be brought before a board of inquiry for what you did. Specifically, hiding and forging evidence. Of course, these are serious offenses. Why is it, though, that Chief Gant's name was never mentioned? Chief Gant? Edgeworth didn't know the truth behind the forgery. The only party who could have possibly investigated that evidence was me. I had access because I was second in command of that investigation. Yes, you, but also one other, Damon Gant. If you intend to accuse Chief Gant, you'll need more than just words. Show me proof that Chief Gant falsified evidence in that case. Well, now we just go back to this. I just found this in a safe in the Chief's office. This jar piece and this strip of cloth. Do you know what these are? They're pieces of evidence from the SL9 incident. The person concealing evidence was none other than Chief Gant himself. Now tell me, why are you taking all the blame for him? Touché, Mr. Wright. It's as you surmised. I cannot disobey the Chief's orders, even if it means being found guilty for murder. Why not? Come now, Mr. Wright. You can't possibly expect me to be able to tell you that. 3 days ago, I had no choice but to cooperate in the murder of Detective Goodman. Or perhaps I should say, follow orders. Yes, that's more accurate than cooperate. What are these orders? Although I can't tell you the details, I can say that I was given an order that day. I need you to dispose of Bruce Goodman's body. You'll find it inside the trunk of Miles Edgeworth's car. Just as I suspected. Despite what everyone believes, you were not the one who murdered Detective Goodman. Correct. I was trying to take the body out of Edgeworth's car. The trunk was broken. I discovered that murder weapon while inspecting the body. The murder weapon? You mean Edgeworth's knife? No. When I found the body, this was the knife stuck in it. The knife from the SL9 incident. Serial killer Joe Darkey's knife. Uh-huh. Yeah, that makes sense, seeing as how the Edgeworth's knife was only 10 centimeters, but the autopsy report says the killing weapon was 12. I couldn't just leave that knife in him, so I took it out and stabbed him with another knife. That would be Edgeworth's knife. That's right. Even though he was already dead, my hands were shaking at the thought of stabbing him. That's why I ended up cutting my hand. And that is the reason for the bandage on your right hand. Yes, it seems that I got blood on the victim's shoes as well. And then she saw me just as I plunged the knife in. Miss Starr. Why did you need to hide Dark's knife so badly? Darky or Darks, whatever. It took a lot of work to finally close the Darky case 2 years ago. It was over with. I didn't ever want it to be opened again. My intent was to prevent that by whatever means possible. So, you hid Darky's knife? The weapon used to stab the detective was evidence in the Joe Darky case. If word got out, which it would, the reporters would have a field day with that. So you wrapped a knife on your scarf and hid it. In Edgeworth's exhaust pipe. Right. Then I called my sister to tell her what happened, and to ask her to hide the knife that was inside my muffler. You asked Emma? I didn't want anyone on the force to know about this. That would explain why Emma is so confident about Lana's innocence. Speaking of phone calls, I had a bad feeling about one of them that day. A bad feeling? The truth is, after I received those orders from Chief Gant, the first thing I did was make a phone call. Phone call to Patrolman Jake Marshall. To Marshall? Why on earth would you call him? The lead investigator for the SL9 incident had been murdered. I wanted that fact to be kept hidden, and I needed help. He was the only other person I could trust. Or at least, I thought I could trust him at the time. However, it seemed that after I spoke to him, he went off on an escapade of his own. Oh, you mean, not wanting the case to die, he decided to take things into his own hands. He disguised himself as Officer Goodman and tried to steal the evidence. We know this already, that's what we proved. proved. He had already stolen the ID card, but it seems he still hadn't made up his mind to break into the evidence room. After my phone call, any remaining doubts he had must have disappeared. So your phone call caused the incident in the evidence room. I'm afraid that's all I can tell you. But Lana, you've earned my respect, Mr. Wright, both as a defense attorney and an investigator. Now please, don't pursue this any further in court tomorrow. Tomorrow's trial. There's only one way to drive off Lana's demons. I've got to get to the bottom of everything. Detective Goodwin's real murderer. And what went down in the chief's office 2 years ago. Oh man, this is gonna be big. Yes. Here we go. This is the defendant lobby, all right, but there's no defendant. I've been trying to reach Lana all morning. Where could she be? And where's Emma, for that matter? It almost seems as if something's been happening behind the scenes. Edgeworth! Knowing you, you've already figured it out. Who the owner of the 777777 card is. Well, I have a pretty strong hunch. Looks like I'm not the only one who's figured it out. You know, the only reason this trial didn't reach a verdict yesterday is because there was still room for doubt on this ID record. If that number does belong to whom we suspect, then no doubt will remain. After all, he hasn't been officially charged with anything. True, not yet. In any event, once all doubt has been removed from that list, I can call for a ruling on the defendant. 5 minutes after the trial starts, Lana will be found guilty. But she didn't do it! I figured you'd say as much. That's why I came here to hear what you have to say. This is the first time he's ever done something like this. Lana's hiding something, and the only way we'll ever know the truth is to draw it out of her. The truth? Everything goes back to the SL9 incident. So don't be stupid. Today's the last day of the trial. We don't have time to reminisce about the past. That depends on you. If she's found guilty, you'll lose your only chance to find out what really happened. I'll think about it. See you in court, Wright. This is it. If I'm ever going to find out what Chief Gant has on her, it's now. Sorry, I was drinking some tea. Here we go. Court is now in session for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. The defense is ready, Your Honor. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. Normally, this is when the prosecution puts forth its opening statement. What? But before that, the police chief has a proposal to make. Chief Gant. As he just appears at the stand. Morning, folks. How's everybody doing? Hey, Miles boy, been back to the pool yet? No, I've been drowning enough as it is in my work. No, he said udgy. Not edgy. Judge boy. Oh, that's a good one. Don't think I can top that. If you don't mind me asking, Chief, exactly what is this proposal of yours? Lana, that is to say the defendant, has asked me if she could speak directly to the court. She wants to do what? Having heard that what she intends to say, I feel she should be granted her request. In the end, it should save everyone a lot of time and trouble. This son of a bitch. Not Lana, but Gant. What's this all about, defendant? I'd just like to make one simple request, and I'll be finished. Well then, what's your request? Your Honor, I'd like you to put an immediate end to this trial. Huh? I confess to all charges against me. On February 21st of this year, I murdered Detective Bruce Goodman in the underground parking lot of the prosecutor's office. No, Lana!
Objection!
You can't! Your Honor, the defendant's claim does not change the defense's plea. In that case, Mr. Wright, I no longer require your services. But Lana! Your Honor, I hereby forfeit my right to an attorney. The prosecution may lack evidence against me, but it has sufficiently proven its case through testimony and circumstantial evidence. I would like you to render your verdict now, if you please. Well, the defendant certainly has the right to self-representation. Her request is legally valid, although it is an unprecedented situation. This is an unprecedented situation. Indeed, it appears there's no further need to continue this trial, even if Mr. Wright may feel otherwise. This can't be happening! It appears the time for the verdict has arrived. This court finds the defendant...
Objection!
That was a shock. One moment, Your Honor. Mr. Edgeworth? The prosecution has not yet proven the defendant guilty beyond reasonable doubt. Any ruling at this stage would certainly be premature. Come now, worthy... or... Miles boy. I understand this is a difficult time for you. But why don't you just be a good little boy and keep your mouth shut, I don't think I care for your tone, Chief Gant. What? Creating another fabrication to cover up your past mistakes. Sorry, but I'm no longer the naive little boy you would have me be. Go, Edgeworth. With this sudden confession from the defendant, it's obvious to me some kind of deal was struck behind the scenes. Some kind of deal, Not everyone operates as you do, worthy. I thought so. Your Honor, the prosecution would like to change its first witness. Oh? To whom? As its first witness, the prosecution would like to call Miss Emma Skye. I request the court hears her testimony. Mr. Edgeworth, I am exercising my right to self-representation. I don't think we need to continue... I don't care what you think, Miss Skye. Or better yet, as someone else put it, it doesn't matter what you think! The Rock objects to your objection! The exposure of truth sometimes results in tragedy. However, no matter how tragic the truth may be, it would be an even greater tragedy to avert one's eyes from it. Very well, the court shall grant the prosecution's request. That's okay with you, right, Chief Gant? Miles, boy, you'll live to regret this. Mark my words. Miss Emma Skye, please take the stand. Looks like Edgeworth has decided to take the horse by the reins. Now then, witness, please state your name and occupation. My name is Emma Skye. My occupation? I'm Lana's little sister, and I want to be a scientific investigator. 2 years ago, you encountered the serial killer Joe Darkey of the Joe Darkey killings. Is this correct? Yes. I'm trying my hardest to forget about that, though. I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I'm going to have to ask you to recall those events one more time. Mr. Edgeworth, please remember this trial concerns the murder of Detective Goodman. Is an incident that was resolved 2 years ago really all that relevant? Yes, it most certainly is. Well, okay then. He sure gave in fast. Now, please testify about what happened to you 2 years ago. The trip to yesteryear has finally begun. It's bound to lead to the truth behind this trial. 2 years ago. I was waiting in my sister's office that day. A man came running in and took me hostage. Neil Marshall rescued me. But I'll never forget what I saw that instant. The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. It's a good thing you weren't harmed. I passed out. I don't remember much. That's understandable. However, please tell me, Mr. Edgeworth, what does his testimony have to do with Detective Goodman's murder? That will soon become apparent, Your Honor. You've got to admire him for his courage, considering he has no evidence. Very well, the defense may begin its cross-examination. Okay, Emma. Okay. Tell me why. 2 years ago, the defendant was a detective at the police department, correct? Yes. She was second in command under Chief Detective Gant. My sister. She was the best detective ever. Yes, I remember. Chief Detective Gant and Miss Skye used to be quite the pair. I believe they shared the same office. That's right. I'd always sit at my sister's desk and dream about playing that organ. I wanted to play it that day, too. The police department and the prosecutor's office held a ceremony that day. Lana promised to take me to dinner after she finished her work. A man came running in and took me hostage. A man? Yes, Joe Darkey. He was a serial killer. Joe Darkey was brought in for questioning on the day of that ceremony. We were desperate to get anything on him that would lead to an arrest. When he saw his chance, he fled the room, right? Upon fleeing the room, Darkey proceeded to take the elevator. He must have been in a panic because the elevator was going up. Then he ran into Skye in Gant's office. And there was a lot of noise coming from outside, so I opened up the door to have a look. That's when I saw him. What was the prosecutor doing there? That day, there were 2 people present during Darkey's questioning. Detective Damon Gant and Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Gant was there too. Neil Marshall had just received the King of Prosecutors Award. Young and dedicated, he went straight to the questioning room after the ceremony. I assumed that would also be why he was the first to run after Darkey. When Darkey grabbed me, I thought I was as good as dead. And that's when Prosecutor Marshall came running in? I don't clearly remember what happened then, but... Can you tell us about that? Mr. Marshall jumped on Darkey. Just then, the lights went out. The lights? It was just about this time of the year. There was a terrible storm going on, and lightning struck nearby. So the electricity went out. Wait a minute. If it was pitch dark in that room, you shouldn't have been able to see anything, right? Right, but just then, lightning flashed again outside. That sudden flash left an unforgettable image of the scene in my mind. You see, I told the detective about what I saw then. The detective? Yes, Detective Goodman. He was in charge of the case. Detective Bruce Goodman. The victim. Let's hear more. So you spoke with Detective Goodman about this 2 years ago. Yes, that's what's so scary about this trial. And you told Detective Goodman about what you saw? Yes, but at the time, the words just wouldn't come out. That's why I drew a picture. A picture? Yes, I think she mentioned that before. Well, Mr. Wright, have you heard enough? Let's ask about the picture. The picture the witness drew. I believe it has a very important meaning. But the list of evidence I was given 2 years ago didn't contain a picture. Witness, would you mind if I added this statement to your testimony? Yes, Your Honor. I drew a picture of that scene once, but it seems to have been lost. You drew a picture of the scene you witnessed, right? Yes, I wanted to do everything I could to help the investigation. But I still see it now. I can still see it now, whenever I close my eyes. That's strange. I took over the case after Prosecutor Marshall died, yet I never received any picture. Perhaps the witness is mistaken? But I did draw it, I swear. I'm not just imagining it. This picture that Emma drew. That reminds me. I guess I should check the evidence again. Well, anyway, let's continue. The scene imprinted an image in your mind. Can you please describe it to us? The man raised up his knife and stabbed Mr. Marshall in the chest. That must have been a real shock. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still see it just as clearly. Tell us, what were you doing at that moment? I believe you testified that Joe Darkey was holding you hostage. When lightning struck and the lights went out, Mr. Marshall jumped on Darkey. I was thrown aside and the two began wrestling each other. I'm pretty sure I was watching them. Emma doesn't have any reason to lie, but Lana sure does. I need to get Emma to tell me as much about this as she can. Alright. It's time to present it. Because the picture, as we know, is on the back of this. I wonder if it'll let me present this. There it is. Mr. Edgeworth, this little girl put all her heart into drawing that picture. And yet you still insist on denying its existence? Huh? Hey, I'm not the bad guy. All I'm saying is that as the prosecutor for the case, I wasn't handed such a picture. That may well be, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Behold, this is the evidence list for the SL9 incident. Yeah, please turn it over, Your Honor. Turn it over? Turn it... Ah! Look! Yes, what is that? Hey, that's it! That's the picture I drew. Indeed. Two men appear to be wrestling here. What's the meaning of this? What are you doing with that list? Me? Only the prosecutor in charge should have access to that list. Huh? These lists, they're different from each other. What? It would appear, Mr. Edgeworth, that the evidence list you were handed 2 years ago was incomplete. These two lists fit together to form one. You can see the marks here where they were torn apart from each other. So you see, Mr. Edgeworth, it's quite obvious what happened. 2 years ago, only half of the evidence list in the evidence that case was ever reached you. What? What? Order! Order! Who'd have thought the picture would have been drawn on the back of this back of the list? That was handed to Detective Goodman in the questioning room. Wait a minute. If this list was torn in half, then that means... Your Honor, are you all right, Mr. Wright? Your eyes are bulging from your head. If the evidence list was torn in half, then there might be more of the drawing back on the back of Mr. Edgeworth's list. Yes, that's quite conceivable, Mr. Edgeworth. It's possible. Let's see. Jesus God, is something wrong? Do you even have to ask? Sorry, Your Honor. There's something drawn on the back of my list. This is that thing. That's that thing. The thing was dancing in the evidence room. Apparently, the head of criminal affairs used this for his blueprint. I guess he was out of scrap paper. The evidence list has been updated. Very well. Witness, will you please testify about this picture you drew 2 years ago? Huh? Oh, yes, sir, Your Honor. What's wrong with Emma? She seemed to be thinking about something when she saw the picture. Alright, let's see what we got. This is the picture I drew 2 years ago. The flash of lightning was so bright all I could see were shadows. After that, I must have fainted. This picture shows exactly what I saw that instant. To think a flash of lightning could burn such an image in your mind. Thanks to that, though, she was able to show us exactly what she saw. Well, I don't see any contradictions here. This clearly shows Joe Darkey about the murder of Prosecutor Neil Marshall. The defense may now begin its cross-examination. Yes, it is. Did you draw this picture right after the incident? I think I drew it 2 or 3 days later. At first I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't do anything. During that time, the detective team was reorganized. Detective Goodman was placed in charge, under the direction of Damon Gant and Lana Skye. 2 or 3 days later. The memory should still have been fresh in her mind. Excuse me, witness. But can you please tell us why this picture is painted all black? The flash of lightning was so bright. Yeah, we know. So at that time, you didn't even know it was Mr. Marshall who can't come to your rescue. No, I couldn't see him clearly. The lightning was so bright, and I was knocked to the floor. You were knocked to the floor? Darkey had a tight grip on me, but when Mr. Marshall jumped on him, I was knocked away. I turned around, and that's when the lightning flashed. Poor Emma. I'm just glad she wasn't hurt. What happened after the lightning flashed? After that, I must have fainted. You mean you didn't see the actual murder take place? No. I'm sorry. The flash of lightning only drove off the darkness for just a split second. Not only that, but the trauma of the situation understandably caused the witness to faint. Do you really need to torture this girl any further? What? Hey, I'm not the bad guy here. Anyway, this picture. This picture shows exactly what I saw in that instant. Sorry for asking so many times, but are you sure you drew exactly what you saw? Of course! This is the exact scene! It wasn't influenced in any way from your talks with the detectives? Are you insinuating we somehow manipulated her memory, Mr. Wright? No, of course not. I better watch out, or he might find some way to cut my salary. I drew this picture before I heard anything from the detectives, so I don't think anyone's story would have influenced me. Mr. Wright, is there something that's bothering you about this picture? Huh? Oh, well... That's strange. She claims this is exactly what the scene that was imprinted in her mind. And yet, there's clearly a contradiction here. That's interesting. So, wait a minute. What's the contradiction? Let's press it again. Well, there's nothing on the back of it. Clear handprint can be seen on the leather cloth. The print belongs to Emma. I think I'll keep this information to myself. Huh. A single stab wound piece piercing the heart and lung. What am I supposed to present here? The picture? No. This is bad. Don't ask me why I just did that. There it is. Okay. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but this picture the witness drew contains a blatant contradiction. What? But I still remember it like it was just like it was yesterday. Mr. Wright, perhaps it would be faster if you simply pointed out this contradiction for us. What part of this picture contradicts the autopsy report? I wonder. The contradiction, of course, lies here. Take a look at the knife the man is holding. If you look closely, you can see its tip is broken. In fact, you don't even have to look closely to see that. But Mr. Wright, look at the evidence. See the murder weapon? The tip is broken. Its tip is broken, too. If I recall, the tip of the knife was found broken off in the victim's body. It was the conclusive piece of evidence that proved Joe Darkey was the murderer. No, you're not right. I'm afraid it's not so simple, Emma. Huh? Where could you possibly see a problem? It's obvious, really. The victim suffered a single stab wound to the back. If the victim was only stabbed once, then the murder weapon should not yet be broken. Ah! What's the meaning of this? Perhaps the knife was broken beforehand. No. Sorry, but I'm afraid that's not possible. The tip of the knife was found inside the victim's body. If it was broken beforehand, it couldn't possibly wind up there. That's right. But what does it mean? This mean? The tip of the knife was undeniably discovered within the victim's body. The only possible explanation is the witness's memory is mistaken. That's why I asked her so many times if she was sure she remembered correctly. I believe you were annoyed at the time, but she was sure she remembered correctly. But there's no other way to explain this inconsistency. Not so fast, Mr. Edgeworth. There is another explanation. Have you forgotten already about a little something called falsified evidence? You're treading on thin ice, Wright. All I'm saying is that this little broken knife might be the piece of evidence that was forged. Huh. You can't deny the possibility. No. Ah! Order! 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 Are you saying the investigation really was corrupted? Your Honor, please allow me to once again go over the events that took place the day of the murder. The police department and the prosecutor's office were holding a ceremony that day. After receiving the King of Prosecutors award at the ceremony, Neil Marshall questioned Joe Darkey along with Damon Gant. During his questioning, Joe Darkey fled the room. Prosecutor Marshall chased after him and was killed by Darkey. It is my belief that somewhere in this story there is a lie. I'm not lying. The man really was holding up a broken knife. If that's true, then there's no other way around it. This could not have been the actual murder weapon. There must have been another broken knife. What are the chances there being two broken knives? Another broken knife besides Joe Darkey's. Could there have been one? I really don't want to say she's mistaken, so we'll say there's another one. If the witness is this adamant about the accuracy of what she saw, it can't just be explained away by a simple observational error. Mr. Wright. In that instant, Emma really did see a broken knife. I assume, then, that you have some information about this other broken knife? If so, please feel free to enlighten us. The murder weapon was already broken prior to the murder. There's only one way. Take a look at this. Here's the real murder weapon. This is gonna sound crazy, but I want to say it's this jar. No! It's this! If anything's broken here, it's you. Huh? I'm sure this must all be very amusing to you, Mr. Wright, but may I remind you that the fate... Okay, fuck, it wasn't that. Sorry, Your Honor. Please give me another chance. It's gotta be the jar. Fuck! I may not actually have it. I might have gone too far. Unless it was this. Nope. Alright, hang on. Be right back. Okay, we're back. Sorry about that. I was on the right track. I had to think about it again. As I was randomly just throwing evidence at it, wondering if I actually had the evidence I needed to show. I do. See, I was kind of right about the shield. However, the shield we needed to show is the one that's in this picture. The answer lies in the past. 2 years in the past. Right here inside this picture. This is the picture of the awards ceremony. What is it, Mr. Edgeworth? It's the broken murder weapon. Notice the award Prosecutor Marshall is holding. There you go. That's a broken knife. As we earlier concluded, the knife in the picture was not Joe Darkey's knife. That being the case, the knife the witness saw was in all likelihood this award. How about that? Order! 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 Neil Marshall was awarded King of Prosecutors that day. As an award, he was given this broken shield and a broken knife. When they chased after Joe Darkey, he pulled out this knife. Being a prosecutor, he did not carry a pistol. This broken knife was the only weapon he had in his dangerous situation. But that can't be. Oh, and why not, Mr. Edward? Because if the King of Prosecutors Award knife was the murder weapon, then the murderer and the victim would be reversed. What do you mean? I mean, this man raising a knife would have been Prosecutor Neil Marshall. Oh. Oh! But the prosecutor was the one who actually died. That's true. What's going on here? It seems Mr. Wright has been a bit too eager to jump to conclusions. Emma? Wait! I remember now. I remember everything. Witness? Mr. Edgeworth. What is it? Could you show me your evidence list again, please? His list? The one with that picture scribbled on the back? I knew it. This picture. I'm the one who drew it. Really? What? You drew that? That's right. The list wasn't torn in half at the time I drew this picture. All this time I've been trying so hard to forget, I must have locked this part away deep inside me. Perhaps it would be best if we added this to the witness testimony. Would you please tell us what you recalled, Miss Sky? Yes, Your Honor. First the knife mix-up, and now the blue badger? This should be interesting. To say the least, yeah. Though I don't think it was the blue badger at the time. I think Gumshoe just used that design. Here we go. When I saw that man raise his knife, I panicked and rushed toward both of them. I think I knocked away the man with the knife. Just then, there was another flash of lightning, and that's when I saw the blue badger. He wasn't in the room, but I'm sure I saw his shadow. This is certainly most unusual.
Objection!
Try impossible! The head detective of criminal affairs didn't even design him until this year. That would mean he didn't even exist 2 years ago. Yes, well, the defense may now begin its cross-examination. Stop, please! Don't pursue this any further. Lana, what's the meaning of this? Please remain seated in the defendant's chair. But you can't do this! I've already arrested the crime! Why can't you just leave it at that? Chief Prosecutor Sky. We've already come this far. It's too late to turn back. Silence. The defense will now begin its cross-examination. Bailiff, please detain the defendant. We never see this mysterious bailiff. Seems we're finally getting to the core of the matter. Alright, so let's see what we got. When you say that man, I assume you refer to Joe Darkey? Yes, at least I think it was him. You think? All I could really see were shadows. The power outage that immediately preceded the incident is also documented in the prosecutor's office reports. So then I panicked and rushed toward both of them. Why would you do something so dangerous? What else could I have done? He was about to stab Mr. Marshall. She seems convinced that Darkey was the one holding the knife. But as we just theorized, Mr. Marshall was the one holding the knife. Well, I didn't know that at the time. When that Darkey guy knocked me down, all I could think was, I've got to help Mr. Marshall. Okay. What do you mean, you think? It all happened so fast, and I was in shock. I don't remember everything clearly. What I did, it's all kind of a blur. In a matter of just a few seconds, Miss Sky was almost killed. Then she witnessed a murder about to take place. A little disorientation is only natural. I saw the man about to stab the other person, who I thought was Mr. Marshall. I knew I had to stop the man with the knife. What you did was very brave, young girl. So then, what happened next? Another flash of lightning, and that's what okay. Are you sure about this? Of course, see? I even drew a picture of him here. But the head detective of criminal affairs thought up this hideous beast, and that was just this year. The blue badger didn't exist 2 years ago. This is all quite verifiable. I know it sounds strange. I was surprised too when I saw him at the police department. I had this nagging feeling that I'd seen him before somewhere. Now I finally remember. Oh, brother. Just when you thought that thing had caused enough commotion. Tell us, where in the room did you see him dancing? He wasn't in the room, but are you sure I saw his shadow? His shadow? So you mean you didn't actually see his face with his winning smile and all? That's right, but I still remember it. He had 3 creepy horns. This is pointless. That thing couldn't have possibly existed 2 years ago. The witness must be mistaken. That may well be. But what's important is what caused her to think she saw what she did. Oh? And I suppose you have an exclamation? If so, then by all means, please tell us what this shadow really was. What was it Emma saw when that lightning flashed? Who is this blue badger really? I might just know. The blue badger hadn't even been dreamed up when Emma drew this picture. Yet she's certain she saw its shadow. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the defense's belief that on that fateful day 2 years ago, there indeed was something that looked similar to the blue badger. Something that is now sitting in this very room. Mr. Wright. In this room? Very well, Mr. Wright. What is it that the witness saw in that instant? Please show this mysterious blue badger lookalike. What the hell did she see? Oh, wait, was it this? I don't know. It's gotta be. The mysterious blue badger was, in fact, this. But that's... what exactly is that? I believe it's some sort of jar. But Mr. Wright, that doesn't look anything like the blue badger. Indeed it doesn't. As it stands now, it's just a plain jar. However, what if we were to change our viewpoint? Our viewpoint? I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. Oh, this is gonna be fun. I think... it's like that. This isn't right. I've got to make it look more like the badger. Allow me to remind the defense that his case hinges on his witness drawing. If Mr. Wright can't match the shape the witness drew, we cannot accept his claim. I've got to find just the right angle. Maybe I should rotate it vertically a bit more. Or horizontally? Come on, Mr. Wright, you can do it. I've got to show them the correct angle to look at this from. That can't be right. Damn it!
Objection!
At least I can't get penalized for this. Bingo! There it is. Well, is this a miracle or what? No one can possibly deny this jar's resemblance to the Blue Badger. No. It can't be! Order! Order! The defense has proven its claim. The mysterious Blue Badger witnessed on the day of the crime was actually this. Although we all enjoyed Mr. Wright's dramatic performance, one question remains. What's your point? What do you mean? So that Badger thing was actually just a jar. That doesn't change anything. I'm afraid that's where you're wrong, Mr. Edgeworth. You see, this changes everything. Indeed? Very well then. Please tell us. What's different now that we know the witness saw this jar? The location, the murder weapon, or the murderer? I want to say the location. Allow me to take these in turn. At the moment of the murder, the witness saw this jar. Not only that, but she saw it at a very specific angle. Knowing this, where could she have seen this jar? Where? The location of the jar is shown in the picture taken on the day of the crime. It's on a shelf in the office of Damon Gant. But the body was found lying near Lana Sky's desk. The witness testified so herself. Yes, and it is these two facts that reveal what actually transpired. You see, the struggle between Darky and Marshall did not take place in Lana Sky's office. It happened on the other side of the room, in Chief Gant's office. Are you implying the murderer moved the victim's body from Damon Gant's office to Lana Sky's office? Yes. Why would he do that? There's no reason. Exactly. If there wasn't a reason, he wouldn't have gone through the trouble. The only logical conclusion is that there was a reason. Do you know what that reason was, Mr. Wright? I finally figured it out. So this is why Lana tried to stop the trial. It's too late to quit now, though. Please recall the witness testimony. She said she knocked away the man who was holding up the knife, and the next instant the jar was hit and flew through the air. Now tell me, what could have sent the jar flying? That would have to have been the impact the man made when he was knocked into the wall? Ladies and gentlemen, if I may draw your attention to this picture once more. If the man was knocked in the direction of the shelf jar the jar was sitting on, what would he have hit? Ah, the suit of armor, holding a very sharp and dangerous-looking sword. Yes. And since the man who was knocked into the armor was carrying a broken knife, he would have had to have been Neil Marshall, wielding the prosecutor's award. No, Mr. Wright, you can't be thinking... Yes, there is another possibility of what actually transpired in that room. Another possibility. Of course, the perpetrator would have no idea, but nevertheless, would have had no idea. I don't know if I can go through with this. Mr. Wright, what's the matter? If events took place as the defense theorizes, then the outcome is obvious. And that moment, assuming the man Emma Sky knocked away was actually Prosecutor Neil Marshall... Yeah. You mean Mr. Marshall died because of me? No! And she fainted again. I'd never imagined her testimony would lead to this. So it was the witness who took the victim's life, and then proved so with their own testimony. This is unprecedented. What are you saying? I'm sorry, Miss Sky, but given the circumstances, Joe Darky murdered Prosecutor Marshall. How can you think it was Emma? How dare you try to pin the crime on her? Imagine that coming from you. If you recall, it was you who admitted to forging evidence 2 years ago. The reason you moved Prosecutor Marshall's body was to keep anyone else from finding out about what Emma did, wasn't it? I assure you, Mr. Edgeworth, I have no idea what you're talking about. If you hope to have anyone believe your insane allegations, I'm afraid you're going to have proof. Tell me, do you have any consecutive evidence that proves my sister killed Neil Marshall? Evidence? I'm willing to bet you don't. Yes, it certainly would be difficult to prove this with evidence. If we don't have evidence, then we'll have to rely on testimony. I'm afraid that won't work in this case. Both parties involved in the incident are dead. We certainly can't get dead people to testify. Or can you? This has all been a wild goose chase from the beginning. Touché, Miss Skye. Of course, that only leaves us with one possibility. You mean there's still another possibility? What do you mean, Mr. Edgeworth? I mean the possibility that the victim has left us a message. For better or worse, Mr. Marshall did not die instantly. He may have left behind the name of the person who took his life. Somehow. That's impossible. Well, Mr. Wright, this is the only possibility left to you. A message from the deceased. Does such a message exist? I've got to think back to the court record. The real murderer's name that the victim may have left behind. It is in the evidence. This message from the deceased is already in our possession. Mr. Wright, will you stop at nothing to prove my sister a murderer? Do not be mistaken, Miss Skye. Our purpose is not to accuse Emma of any crime. There is only one thing we seek, the truth. No matter how painful it may be. Well, now then, Mr. Wright, please show us the piece of evidence that conveys the message from the deceased. That piece of evidence is pretty much the same thing we just showed, the jar. I'm pretty sure the blood spatter on it is what the message was. That's why there's a straight line. This is the message left by the deceased. This is that blue badger from before, right? Oh, is he going to just speak the killer's name? If that thing could, I'm sure it would. Looks like everyone's forgotten this is just a jar. A message was left here, on the surface of this jar. What do you mean? If you look closely, you can see a faint trail of blood on this jar. It looks like someone wiped the blood away. Yes, but notice, for some reason, the blood on some of the fragments was not wiped away. Yes, there is a line here, drawn in blood. So what you're saying is these dots were once lines. Prosecutor Marshall did not die instantly. He used the few precious moments left to him to leave behind a message. One that someone apparently wiped away. But blood must have seeped into the jar where the lines changed directions. Precisely so. All we need to do is connect these points, and the victim's message will become apparent. No. Mr. Wright, what kind of message did the victim leave for us? Your Honor, I believe these bloodstains will reveal to us the answer. I've got to connect these dots to make letters. There's only one thing the victim would have written, given the circumstances. The murderer's name. Alright, now we get to play Connect the Dots. This is gonna be fun. I wonder. Really don't want to do this. It's a defense attorney's duty to prove his client's innocence. That's why all I've been thinking about is saving Anna. After all my efforts, I never thought it would turn out like this. So this is the final message Prosecutor Marshall left behind. Of all people. She may not have meant it, but in the end, the one who took the victim's life was Emma Skye. See, edgy boy? Can't say I didn't warn you. Fuck you, Gant. Chief Gant, do you understand the implications of what you've done? What? What are you talking about? 2 years ago, Joe Darkey was sentenced to death. He was convicted because of his final murder. I believe you were the prosecutor in the case, were you not? Yes, edgy boy. Because of you, an innocent man was sentenced to death. Not only that, but you used forged evidence to ensure his conviction. But Joe Darkey really was a serial murderer. That's undeniable. I'm afraid that's not important. Didn't you know we aren't defenders of justice? What? We're merely keepers of the law. Sentencing a man to death is no light matter, even if there wasn't any cover-up or evidence forgery. Ultimately, the responsibility falls on the prosecutor in charge. Despite what anyone may say, this fact cannot be denied. Excuse me. What's going on at the prosecutor's office? They might have sent an innocent man to his death. How can he just stand there like it wasn't his fault? Order! 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 The gavel's pounding fell on deaf ears. Unable to settle the crowd, the judge declared a recess. Where this trial is headed, no one knows. Oh, man. See, something about that seems fishy. I want to say, even though, yeah, Emma ran into somebody, I really don't think she killed him. Sorry, Edgeworth. I didn't mean to get you in trouble. Don't worry about it. This is my problem, not yours. Hope I'm... Gumshoe, I love you. Hope I'm not interrupting anything, pals. You have the most impeccable timing ever, Gumshoe. Oh, guess I am. I'll come back later. Oh, Detective Gumshoe, what is it? You've got a lot of nerve, pal, making a detective run around run all around while on duty. And to top it off, you call me here. I've seen half of your people at funerals. Haven't we played this scene before? I take it Lana's having you run errands again. Let me tell you, this is the last time, pal. Here, she asked me to give this to you if there was a break in today's trial. Evidence law? Edgeworth was talking about this just the other day. I'm sure you know the 2 rules of evidence law, don't you, Wright? Rule number 1. No evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Is that right, Mr. Wright? It seems so. You could at least study some evidence law, really. The chief prosecutor also wanted me to give you a message. A message? She said, if you're planning to take him on, you're going to need this book. Him. I guess I'll need to give this book a thorough read. Secretly slipped evidence law in the pocket. Doesn't look like that book will do you any good now, though. All that's left now is the chief prosecutor's sentence. That's where you're wrong, Detective. Huh? Haven't you figured it out yet? Why I'm still sitting in that prosecutor's seat? Despite all these allegations thrown at me? Mr. Edgeworth, the real trial today hasn't begun yet. What? What else is there left to do? Your credibility's been all but ruined by this forged evidence you were unaware of. Emma Skye found out she had unwittingly caused a man's death, and now you're telling me you want to do more? You've got to be kidding me, pal. You're missing the point, Detective. Lana didn't murder Detective Goodman. She merely stuck a knife into his dead body. That means the real killer is still out there. What? And we're going to expose him, no matter what it takes. This case has hurt too many people. It's time to bring it to an end. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Sky. I keep wanting to say Lana Lang. Mr. Edgeworth. Yes, Your Honor. The inquiry committee is planning to impose harsh penalties for your actions. I love that bow. Thank you for the news, Your Honor. Yes, well, normally this is where the prosecution calls forth the witness, but, cough, cough. This isn't easy to say. You see, there is some concern that Mr. Edgeworth may have, struck a bargain. You think I may have manipulated the witnesses? I didn't say that. It's just, you see, everyone has been talking, and... Very well, Your Honor. I have a solution. A solution? That being the case, the prosecution will allow the defense to call forth all further witnesses. What? But there's never been a case example. Undeniably, this is an unusual arrangement, but a very effective one. It would prove that I haven't struck any deals with the witnesses. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you say? Unbelievable. Edgeworth has found a way to continue the trial. Very well. This defense accept the prosecution's proposal. Then it's settled. The defense may now call forth the next witness. Mr. Wright, you do realize this is your last chance. If you call the wrong witness, this trial is as good as over. Defense calls... Time's finally come to bring out the real murderer. Who else but Mike Meekins? It's always Mike Meekins, son of a bitch. Him and his megaphone of death. No. We're bringing out Damon Gant. Damon Gant! The defense calls Damon Gant to the stand. Damon Gant? What does he have to do with anything? As the defendant's partner 2 years ago, Mr. Gant has first-hand knowledge of the crime. I feel we should hear what he has to say about it. As luck would have it, he should still be in the courthouse. He would also be the least likely to have been manipulated by me in any way. Wouldn't you agree, Your Honor? True. All right. Bailiff, please escort Mr. Gant to the stand. This should be good. Witness, please state your name and occupation. What is this? Some kind of practical joke? I was just on my way to lunch. Your name and occupation, sir. Edgy boy, are you sure you want to do this? Your name and occupation! So, you want to play hardball, eh? Please, Mr. Gant. Fine. My name is Damon Gant. I'm the acting chief of police. Now then, Chief Gant, the court requests to hear your testimony. Oh, right boy. What's with your face? First, let's clear up this SL9 incident. Oh, you mean that time when Lana's sister murdered that prosecutor? Personally, I think it's been made pretty clear already. There are still some things unaccounted for. Oh, like what? Like the role you played in all of this. Son, either you're very brave or very foolish. You are aware, of course, that a police chief has all kinds of weapons at his disposal. Weapons? Sure. Take my testimony, for example. I don't have to give it if I don't want to. What? Is that true? I'm afraid so. The chief of police has the right to refuse to testify. Of course, such an action carries with it certain risks. Don't worry. I'm not here to hinder your trial. Just remember, if this turns out to be a big waste of time, don't say I didn't warn you. Very well. The witness may now begin his testimony. The SL9 incident. As I recall, Neil and I were questioning him that day. To make a long story short, we slipped up. That power outage didn't help either. When I went to my office, I found Lana there. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. As you can see, I had nothing to do with the forgery. Excuse me. Is that when Darky was arrested? Him? He was lying on the floor, unconscious. When Emma sent Neil flying, it seems Darky bumped his head. I see. Everything seems rather clear-cut. If the police chief has the right to refuse to testify, then I'd better hit him hard and fast. Alright, let's see what we can do with this son of a bitch. As I recall, a ceremony was held at the police department that day. Yes, that's right. I guess you could say I'm a workaholic. After winning his award, Neil was all fired up, too. That's probably what spooked Darky and made him run away like that. Was the defendant, Lana Skye, also present in the room? I don't quite remember. At the very least, she wasn't there when Darky ran for it. So the two of you ran immediately after him, right? That's right. That's right, but Darky made it to the elevator first, so Neil and I split up. He went upstairs and I went downstairs. I guess you could say he got lucky. What's this about a power outage? Oh, that. The elevator stopped all of a sudden, and I got the shock of my life. Well, probably not as shocked as Neil was when that knife went into his heart, though. That's not funny. Could you tell us what you saw? It was a shocking sight. Neil and that serial killer were lying in a heap on the floor, all tangled up, all tangled together. Darky was also lying collapsed on the floor. Yes, apparently he hit his head and was knocked out. Next to them were those two poor girls, Lana and Emma. Lana was cradling Emma in her arms. Looking back at it now, she must have already known what her sister had done. Apparently, she had already arranged the crime scene. How can you know that? Because of the victim's body. It had already been moved. So that means... you found the body near Lana's desk? That's right. I think you said earlier, it was my suit of armor that really stabbed the prosecutor? Yes. Anyway... yeah, I call bullshit on this statement. So, you're saying that the forgery had already taken place by the time you arrived at your office? That's exactly what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. I can understand how Lana must have felt, but moving a body and hiding evidence are inexcusable no matter what the circumstances. Is that how it really went down? Staring at the witness won't do you any good, Mr. Wright. If you're going to stare at anything, you'd better off staring at the court record. Worthy, always the smooth talker. But which piece of evidence ties Gant to the forgery? Lana did admit to forging evidence, but that can't be the whole truth. Somehow I've got to link Gant to the incident. Okay. First things first, I want to look at this. Ms. Skye explains the two rules of evidence law. Rule number 1, no evidence shall be shown without the approval of the police department. Rule number 2, unregistered evidence must be relevant to the case and trial. Ah, shit, that's not right. Wait. Maybe it is the book. Nope. How can I link Gant to everything?